The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing NBA, college football, and NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You know me, you know the voice, you know the guy. It's me, really real, a villain real. Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. We got some futures talk going on. A little defensive player of the year, kind of, sort of. I mean, we'll talk about it. Should be locked up rather.
We're going to talk about it. I don't know how long we're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it might be a rather quick conversation. And we have Scott Studio Reichel, who's also going to join me for some MVP talk as well. Scott, what's going on?
Scotty, beat me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, looking forward to the award breakdowns here. Now, I do know that Munaf and Lonte are also going to record a futures episode, I believe, right after this. And they're going to be doing the Coach of the Year and I believe Sixth Man of the Year. Point is, though, they are going to be doing another awards episode too. If you didn't know, the season starts tomorrow. So we are going to be finishing up the off-season breakdowns. Did every division already. So if you didn't check those out, you can check those out on the YouTube channel or on Spotify, etc. Point is, though, looking forward to it. Should be a fun set of awards.
Yeah, really, really should. And we're going to get into Defensive Player of the Year because it's gonna need to move mountains for the rest of the league to catch up. But before we do that, got to remind you about our win totals contest. Make sure you go hop in and join our win totals contest. We will be giving out a $250 SGPN gift card. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA contest to enter today before the season starts tomorrow. Go ahead, enter now. You have a chance to win a $250 SGPN gift card with our win totals contest over there at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA contest. All right. I think that there's a number of reasons of why Defensive Player of the Year is so funny this year, and it's probably because of the monstrosities that they did last year. But here we are. We have Defensive Player of the Year. Looking over here at player. Wait, where are the odds for Defensive Player of the Year at?
I have them here if you need.
All right, yeah, go ahead, because I don't know why mine took the awards market down.
All right. Okay. If you want to, do you want me to just send you a screenshot while we're on air so that we get a look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have Wemby at -155. You have Bam at 11-1. You have Mobley at 12-1. Chet is at 12-1. Gobert's at 20-1. Jaren Jackson 25-1. They announced he's probably going to miss the start of the season. Probably a couple games though, nothing that extreme. Anthony Davis 30-1. Anunoby at 30-1. Giannis at 40-1. Caruso's at 50-1. Draymond's at 66-1. Embiid is at 80-1. You have Herbert Jones at 90-1. Jonathan Isaac's 90-1. Drew Holiday's 100-1. Jared Allen's 100-1. You get the point. So I'm sure you might have just forgotten the price
there
of
it is.
Some of the guys I just said. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. So yeah, point is Wemby's minus, and then you're looking at everyone else being 11-1 or higher.
So clear cut, Wemby is minus for a reason. He probably isn't. You're probably not laying enough. 65 games with what he was doing last year in terms of just straight up defense around the rim and the amount of blocks and steals he's able to accumulate with this freakishly crazy wingspan. I mean, he should have won last year. He should have won last year.
For reference, he averaged 3.6 blocks per game and 1.2 steals per game on 29.7 minutes per game.
Not even 30.
Not even 30.
So, Trevor, what up? Hope you're doing well as well. Shout out to the chat. Make sure you get in youtube.com/NBA Gambling Podcast. Catch us when we're live. Yeah, Scott. I I mean, he should have won last year. Like that clear cut, he should have won last year. There's no reason that he should not win this award. If he plays 65 games, he's gonna accumulate the stats to win this rather easily, and it might be to a freakishly crazy level that if he averages some 35, 36 minutes per game, it's gonna be insane. No, so I mean, you lay whatever with Victor, Wimby, you lay whatever. But Scott, if Wimby gets hurt, if Wimby does not meet the 65 game threshold, oh, the floodgates open.
Yeah. So we're
So
going to talk about, once again, two possibilities. One, if Wemby stays healthy, he's winning.
I
And then
mean,
you have
yeah,
the other.
that's the only.
Then you have the other option, which is if he gets injured, what's your backup plan? So Wemby, just for the record, I mean, I mentioned the numbers. That doesn't even talk about all these shots that he intimidates people to not take, that they would be taking if, he wasn't around. So it's only like 3.6 blocks, but if you factor in all the shots he's altered just mentally by people not even challenging him, it's a lot higher than that. Let's put it that way. So I do want to ask you a question, though, because the main reason why Wemby did not win it last year was because San Antonio was that bad record-wise. And people did not feel great about voting for a guy that was going to be, I'd say, the captain of a team that was going to be in the basement of the league. And they finished with a top 4 pick in the draft. They got Castle. We'll see what happens. But I guess the question would be, if San Antonio's going to be bad once again, and if you end up seeing Wemby putting up 3.5 blocks a game again, and the Spurs win like 30 games,
I think even
they're going to
honestly,
vote for him anyway? Because I do.
yeah. I was about to say, honestly, if they suck, I think he's still winning.
I think he is too, but that was the one main talking point people used on why they didn't give him the award last year, or they gave it to Gobert. It's because Minnesota was good and San Antonio wasn't. So I guess the question is, do you think that the goalposts are going to shift here, and they're just going to give it to Wemby anyway? Because A, he arguably should have won it last year, and B, Wemby, no matter how bad the Spurs turn out to be, is the best defensive player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the goalposts are going to shift, and I think Wemby's going to win. I think the argument was, we're giving Wemby Rookie of the Year. Why bother giving him this too? Well, he'll win a bunch of them in the future. I think they're going to make it up for him. Whether it's a makeup award or not, I think Wemby's winning this award if he's healthy. The amount of blocks and steals he's going to have is disgusting compared to the rest of the league. And there's a bit of a potential makeup award narrative where he should have won it last year and he didn't get it. So, yeah.
And to add on to that makeup award narrative, I only have one person that I think, if it's not Wemby, it's this person.
Okay.
And you may have other options. There's only one other look for me, and it's Bam.
Okay.
They're gonna 100 it. I think everybody is so pigeonholed on Wemby that if something happens and he doesn't actually qualify, or he, gets hurt or anything, they're like, all right, well, I have no idea what to do with this now. Let's just give it to Bam, who we haven't given it to yet. And he plays great, plays amazing defensively. Like, you never talk about Bam bad when you talk about his defensive effort, but yet it's never been enough with the Rudy Gobert and winning all those times, and he had the numbers and everything, but they're not giving Rudy another one. This is the Bam makeup award if Wemby gets hurt. They're not going to know who to pick. They're probably not paying attention to all these players on defense anyway, and they're just going to look and see the name Bam Adebayo and be like, "Oh yeah, we haven't given him one yet. Let's just go ahead and give it to him since Wemby got hurt." Like, for me, it's Bam. I think Bam at 11-1 is the other option.
Yeah, so I feel like, honestly, out of all the people that are cheap in the 11-1 to, I'd say, 15-1 range, I think Chet's going to get hurt by Hartenstein being there. I know Hartenstein's injured now, but when he comes back, I think that people are going to take credit away from Chet, and they're going to kind of divide it amongst everybody, including Caruso, for example, who's at 50-1. So I'm not going to bother with Chet. Mobley's interesting, but I'm not sure if he would get credit over Jared Allen. I think you need an injury involved with that. Bam, I agree with you. I mean, Bam's a guy that we feel like has been a great defensive player for years, and nobody's really given him the flowers that he's due at this point. I think that if I was going for anybody, though, I'd go long shot, and UCapper actually just hit on one.
Yeah,
the problem
it
is
was really good
he's not a
call.
starter. Like, that's the problem. But if you want to ask me right now who I think is the second or third best defensive player in the league, a clear top 5 defensive guy for me is Jonathan Isaac. And he's at plus 9,000. But he doesn't start. That's like the serious problem here. I don't think a bench player's ever won Defensive Player of the Year, and it makes sense because their minutes aren't there. If you go just by
I mean,
impact
it's a
per
long
minute,
season, Scott.
I was going to say he needs to kind of start. There might be some injuries, and maybe he can clear a path for himself. But if you're asking me right now which players I think are elite defensively, guys who just pop off of the TV screen watching them play on the defensive side of the ball, I think Isaac is actually the second best defensive player in the entire league. And I don't think it's a hot take. I think if you watch him play,
Mm-hmm.
he is that good defensively. I would go Isaac at plus 9,000. I don't think he's going to win. I think in reality, you are looking at a guy who is still coming off the bench, and people, whether it's fair or not, they're not going to pay attention to Orlando. I know Orlando was a playoff team last year. They won the division. I don't think people care about Orlando. I'm just being honest. So I do think that the media members, the casuals in the media, there are a lot of them, by the way. I don't think they're going to care about Orlando. But I think Jonathan Isaac at plus 9,000 is a good price, and I will definitely take it at plus 9,000. Do I think he's
Yeah.
going to win? Probably not. I think he's probably not going to win it just based on the fact that, once again, he's a bench player, and Orlando's I can't call them a small market team, but they just paid Jalen Suggs a bunch of money. But I think that they're not going to be talked about amongst the NBA media as much as they should. So I'm going to acknowledge him. I'll give him out on principle. Do I think he wins? No. I think the other option that I'm actually intrigued by, which is actually Gobert's teammate, I'm going Jaden McDaniels at 100
Hey,
to 1.
so no, I was staring down Jayden McDaniels at 100 to 1. I was just now, and now you just confirmed that I need to bet it. I was staring Jayden McDaniels down at 100 to 1. If Minnesota is one of the top teams in the West, and he every single night has to guard the best player, and he performs over the course of a season. Oh, if Wemby goes down 100%, they're going to start talking about him.
I'm also wondering if we've reached the point on Gobert where everyone's kind of soured on him, where at this point, Gobert, I don't want to say is viewed as a liability defensively, but he just doesn't get viewed as the defensive anchor that he used to be. And that kind of opens the door for his teammates. Where in the past, you might go, well, of course, he's a good wing defender. You have Gobert protecting the paint. And now people are going to look at it and go, no, Jaden McDaniel's actually really good.
Yeah,
Like, I,
yeah.
I, I wonder if that's going to be a thing because with Randall now, and you have to wonder how the defense looks, McDaniels, barring foul trouble, which is a concern for him, is a very, very good defensive wing. And I hope he gets recognized for it. And I feel like people are starting to recognize him for it. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not. It's 100 to 1. But I like the price. I think that's a great price for an elite defensive wing.
All right. Anybody else you want to throw out there?
Once again, I'm kind of focused on long shots here. So I'm wondering if I want to make a case for anybody else. Let me just see.
It's really not. I mean, Herb Jones is probably the only person might be interested in, but I just don't trust that Pelicans team overall.
I thought about
No.
Drew Holiday for just reputation. If the Celtics win 60 plus games again, and Boston's going to be a top 5 defense in the league, and they just want to give it to somebody,
Are they going
Drew
to give it to a
Holiday's.
guard?
Yeah, I know the guards haven't exactly won the award that much recently. Shout out to Marcus Smart. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to find elite defenses and you're trying to pick a guy from one of those units, Boston has a lot of great individual defenders that kind of work well in a team setting, but they don't have that center defensive anchor, and that
Mm-hmm.
could work in Drew's favor. I think that the Celtics defensively as a team will check all of the metrics. So I don't mind Drew Holiday at 100 to 1.
All right.
Do you have any other long shots you want to throw out there?
No. I like the ones that we have. I was very close to getting an OG long shot, but I just don't trust the health for him
I
to
don't know if he
even
makes the
qualify.
games.
Yeah, I don't even trust the health for him to qualify, so I'm good on that. All right. Let's move it along. Get to MVP talk in a second. But before we do that, guys, talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. Big menu of sports of NFL, NBA, college football, WNBA, MLB, all that. Boostober is here. So that means, hey, every day starting is actually already started. From the 19th through to the 27th is Boostober, and every single NBA pick'em entry will be boosted. So make sure you get those entries in. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN. Claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. All right, Scott. MVP talk. Now, things can be a little bit more open, a little bit more fluid. I'm
Oh,
gonna take us in the inverse.
do want to ask you one thing before we get into the MVP because we kind of touched on it. Just want to mention it briefly for defensive player. Wemby's minus 155. What do you think should be the fair price for Wemby?
Like
I had 300.
253.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where I was at.
253.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
there you go.
Like something that's high enough where I'm not gonna take it, but I'm like, yeah, he's definitely winning.
My initial thought was 300. So
Yeah.
okay, cool.
All right. Let's see here. We're gonna ramble off some MVP odds, going from the bottom up, and some of these are just quite ridiculous. Some of the names that are up here, but I do want to give people the chance to hit those long shots. So let's start with where LeBron's at. LeBron James 150 to 1. And shop your odds. I'm only using one book right now, but I'm sure there's different odds you can find better here or there. LeBron James 150 to 1. Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Davis, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brown, Devin Booker, all from 100 to 1, 150 to 1. Anybody that can ever make you put a pizza butt down on 100 to 1.
Shout out to Tyrese Maxey, by the way. Higher MVP odds than LeBron. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey.
Halliburton.
Everybody. LeBron's at 150 to 1. So they all have better. They all have lower odds than
Maxey is
LeBron.
actually at 200 to 1. Maxey's at 2.
Oh, the one I'm looking at has 125 to 1. So
Oh,
it
really?
varies.
Holy crap.
But yeah. I don't know what you're using, but BetMGM has Maxey at 125 to 1. They have LeBron at 150 to 1.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Maxey's 200 to 1 on FanDuel.
I'm
Halliburton.
not saying he's going to win it once again, but when you look at these long shots, it's good. That's a good reminder, though. Shop around. You'll find a bunch of different long shot prices. Just shop around.
I can't get there on anybody for a long shot MVP.
It's so difficult to actually get one because usually you just assume they're going to go for either the best player on the best team or somebody they feel like has been snubbed in the past that's overdue for one. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Brown would be interesting if like they came out and said Jason Tatum broke his leg or something, but like, nah, can't really get there. All right, next round, Zion 75 to 1, Kevin Durant 75 to 1, Steph is 45 to 1, JoJo is 34 to 1, Ja Morant 30 to 1, and we'll close it there. So, Ja Morant, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Zion Williamson. Anybody there interested you, Scott?
I love Zion, but no. Like you gotta remember about the criteria for games. I can't take Ja either. I don't trust Ja to stay healthy. Why would I bother? I feel like you're looking at a situation where you have a couple of players who have the upside, but there's a game requirement now, and I can't take them with that being a new piece of the criteria. So out of that entire section, I think I gotta go Steph. I see Steph at plus 6,000. I'm not saying that he's going to win, but when you get rid of Clay, who we don't think's that great, but there's still a built-in Splash Brother type of ideology there and following where you get rid of his main teammate for basically his entire career. And you're looking at Golden State, we think they're going to be good. We think they're going to win 50-plus games potentially. If they end up finishing top 3 in the West, maybe even higher than that, and Steph ends up having a monster season. Steph averages like 27, and he shoots once again like 40-something% from 3, and he has some classic numbers. If Golden State finishes in a solid spot in the West, a top 3 spot, is he in the running? Because he might have to be at that point. I think 60 to 1 on Steph actually makes a lot of sense. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think at that price, it's intriguing.
And I mean, you don't always want to just win with these bets. Like you're not always just looking to break the bank.
Some of its value, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you get yourself into a nice place where you can cash out or sell the ticket and move on. I think with that logic, I too was looking at Steph and saying that there's a possibility that all the other role pieces on this team play really, really well, and Steph is just elevates them, and they're a top seed in the West. And then I'm playing Ja because I do think the Grizzlies have shown in the past that they can be one of the top 2, top 3 teams when fully healthy. I just hate that Jaws Price is that much different than Steph's. I feel like those should be more comparable.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next tier. This is a fun tier.
Sorry, there is one thing I want to talk about because I know Lewis mentioned that he likes Booker 120 to 1. I'm taking nobody on Phoenix. I think it's a waste, to be honest. They have so much talent when it comes to Durant and Booker and even Beal, who I'm not a fan of at all, but he's still viewed as being a very solid scorer. I just don't imagine one of those guys getting lifted over the others. And if it's anybody, it's probably Durant. Like, I just don't see anybody on Phoenix winning the award. If they're great, Budenholzer's probably winning Coach of the Year. That's my view of how they're going to reward the team success. I just don't see Booker getting it with Durant and Beal on the team. I don't think the narrative's there to say that one of those guys carried his team to a top 3 seed potentially. I'm going to just look at Phoenix and go, what a coaching job by Budenholzer. They had all the talent and they finally figured it out. We agree on that? I have no interest in anybody Phoenix related.
Yeah, I'm not interested in anybody on Phoenix either. All right. Wemby's at 20 to 1. Jalen Brunson's at 13 to 1. Jason Tatum 13 to 1. Ant-Man is plus 850. Giannis is plus 850. We'll cut it off there.
Okay.
I think Giannis has voter fatigue, so I would never place a bet on him.
You think Giannis has voter fatigue? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that after they gave it to Giannis, it just feels like they're not interested. Like they're always going to find another reason to give it to somebody other than Giannis. I feel like Giannis should have probably won MVP multiple times already.
I don't know. I feel like we're somewhat removed from Giannis's back-to-back MVPs. I actually wonder if he's potentially alive to win it again. You look at the MVPs, he ended up winning them back in sorry, just
the
trying
2020. It was 2020 and 2021, right?
2019 and 2020. Okay. So yeah, we're about 4 years removed. I think he can be alive to win it, maybe.
I think Giannis has just gotten into the tier where they're not giving it to him anymore. How many times do we hear them talking about how good Giannis is?
There were some monster years by Joker and by Embiid, though, in that defense. There were some really, really tough years to actually compete with out of those. I think
how
Giannis
many votes
is live.
did he get last year? How many? Let me see. I'm about to look up how many votes he got last year.
Okay.
MVP. Because I really feel like at this point, because Giannis, he should be in the conversation every year.
I think he is in the conversation. Once again, Joker put up monster numbers, and Embiid had an insane season too. So I feel like Giannis is always a finalist. He's always invited. He just never ends up winning the award for the last couple of years. But I think
invited.
I think he's in the running.
Invited. All right,
he's always a finalist.
Let me see. He did not get. Well, it was big. Oh no, he did get one first place vote.
I'm sure it was a Bucks reporter. Okay. If you get one vote, it's probably from your team's beat reporter. Probably.
I'm about to look up who this person is right now.
I got to imagine it was the beat reporter for Milwaukee. But 850, I think makes sense.
Oh no, but this guy looks like he's from Greece.
Okay, that's close enough.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
Close enough. Okay, anyway, point is that if you do think Milwaukee's going to be really good, and you think that Milwaukee, for at least one season, figures it out, Middleton's out indefinitely. We don't know what we're getting from Lillard. And Doc Rivers is viewed right now publicly as an atrocious head coach. So there is a narrative, if the Bucks finish with a top 3 seed, that Giannis just carried this team. And I think that could work in his favor. It's a very narrative-driven award, if we're being honest. So I think Giannis has value at 850. I don't think that Milwaukee's going to be good enough. But with Middleton being out already, with him being, once again, battling some injuries, which he does every year, Lillard people are kind of souring on, and Doc Rivers nobody likes. I think it makes sense for Giannis. If you trust Milwaukee to finish with 50-55 wins, then I think it makes sense for Giannis. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think it does. It's just he didn't get that many third place votes either.
I mean, to be fair, he did get injured and missed the last couple weeks of the regular season. So he didn't exactly end the regular season on a high note, but
finally that's done. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Everybody want to do stuff when I'm recording. All right.
Any other players in that section you want to talk about? Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Wemby, your boy Brunson.
It's so funny because I feel like we're now at the point where I could actually see this breaking right and everybody being in it. It just has to they just have to have that season. I, for one, I'm a slightly less interested in Brunson because I just think that Brunson goes crazy when the whole Knicks lineup starts getting injured.
Yeah. I
And
think
that's
Brunson's got the same issues that Tatum does. He's on a stacked
yeah.
roster.
Yeah. So like that's why I'm really not interested in Brunson or Tatum. Wemby is kind of interesting, but I just feel like they're gonna do the cop out thing. And if it's close between Wemby and somebody else, they're just gonna give Wemby defensive player of the year and be like,
Yeah.
all right, there you go, you're good. So that's why I really don't want to place a bet on Wemby.
And
Anthony Edwards, if Anthony Edwards pulls this, if they do the exact same thing last year, I think Anthony Edwards 100% should be in the MVP conversation. If they're a top seed in the West again after trading Cat, bringing in Randall and DiVincenzo, and then probably dealing with the injuries as well. If Anthony Edwards leads them to a top, a top seed in the West, I think he 100% deserves to be in the conversation.
I feel like Ant's going to be in a weird spot because it depends how stat dependent you are when it comes down to MVP voting. Because
Mhm.
Ant's numbers will be fine. It's mostly points, if we're
Yeah.
being honest. Like, if you're looking at the rebounds and assists, they'll be fine. But then they're going to have to stack up his numbers
Mhm.
against, like, let's just say hypothetically, like Embiid or Giannis or Joker or Shea. He might be at a disadvantage in a lot of those head-to-head comparisons.
Mhm.
So I don't want to say it's like the Derrick Rose MVP award, where you kind of look back at the stats and go, well, D Rose's stats weren't as good, but he carried this team to the 1 seed. We haven't gotten one of those in a while. It usually goes down to some insane stats. And I'm concerned Ant's stats won't be good enough compared to the other star players in the league, unless he averages like 30 plus points per game. So that's
And
my
that's
concern with
ultimately
Ant.
that's where I'm at. I'm like Ant has to average 30 a game, but the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if Ant averaged 30 a game. I really wouldn't. Like that's the only thing for me. He definitely, I feel like it has to be 30 though.
And that's the scary part because Ant last year averaged about 28. He averaged 27.6, 7 rebounds, 6.5 assists. So he had a monster season. And nobody even acknowledged it because you had Joker stats. You had a bunch of other star players who had
Shea
great numbers
averaging
as
30
well.
plus.
Shea averaged 30 plus. Like, it's kind of crazy the NBA we live in now, that
You
we
have to average
experience
30
now.
to win MVP. You have to average 30.
27.67, 7 rebounds, and 6.5 assists, which is a monster season, and nobody even reacts because Luka's dropping like 39 and 9.
Mhm.
Like, it's just crazy the stats that people put up. So that's my problem with Ant. Because if you compare his numbers by season's end to Luka's, it's probably going to look worse. That's
Yeah.
not a hot take. It is what it is.
Last tier, this is the top tier, God level tier. Luka plus 330, Shea plus 380, Jokic plus 450. Where are you
So,
going?
so I know we agreed on this in the past. We're gonna say it again because this is the award preview breakdown. We are tossing Joker out so damn fast
Yes,
for this
he's not
award.
winning. He is not winning.
We have to
He's
mention it.
he's not winning. Just go ahead and throw the plus. There's no price that you could give me on Joker, and I'm gonna take it.
I think that Joker in reality was worthy of winning multiple MVPs. I love the guy. I think he's an all-time great player. But when you're looking at voter fatigue being an issue in the past and how some people think that he didn't deserve it last year, I think he did, but it is what it is. Point is that I think people are kind of tired of Joker, and after they blew that 20-point lead at home in game 7 against the Timberwolves last year, I wonder if people are going to start looking elsewhere in general. I think people are going to move on from Joker. Whether that's fair or foul, I just think it's the reality. I think after looking at that media, basically just the storm that we ended up getting at the end of last year, where everyone was basically shit talking Joker to try to get other people to win the award, I think that from the get-go, Joker is going to be at a serious disadvantage because the media and everybody else kind of wants somebody else to win the award. So I don't see him winning. I mentioned this before about Embiid, mentioned it about Giannis. We kind of get these moments where you look at a guy's resume and go, we can't give him this amount of MVPs because this guy in the past never won this many MVPs, so we can't do that. And they automatically pivot and don't give it to the guy. I don't think Joker's going to win. And I think you agree with me. So once again, that's going to be something that I have to mention. I love Joker. I had him last year. I will not have him this year. I think it's a waste. Now, for the favorites here, you have, Embiid's at 25-1 on one book, which you can talk about. He's not playing back-to-backs. He might not reach the game criteria, so toss him out. Shea and Luka are interesting because Luka and Shea, you could argue that one of them should have won it last year over Joker. The weird part is that the media was very convinced that Luka got robbed of the award, and Luka didn't even come in second place. Shea finished ahead of Luka in the voting, so the media was just wrong the entire time. Like for the last month, trying to make Luka cases, and he didn't even finish ahead of Shea, which is kind of weird. If I had to go between those two, I think Luka's number is going to be incredible, but I think OKC will be the 1 seed in the Western Conference. I think OKC's that good. I'm going to go Shea.
I'm so pissed that now Shea is plus 380. Like, I've been betting Shea when he was crazy odds. Nothing's changing here. This is SGA's time. If he beats the threshold, he's probably going to win this award.
And Luka's number is going to be crazy. Like,
yeah, Luka's number is going to be crazy, and he's not going to win because Dallas isn't going to be that good, and Thunder are going to be number one.
Besides that,
is Luka going to be in the conversation? Absolutely.
He's also had injury history. There is a concern out there somewhere that Luka maybe doesn't reach 65. There's a world out there where he doesn't reach 65.
Every time SGA touches the court, and it's the same thing with Luka, but every time SGA touches the court, there is a legit fear that this man might this man might literally take the game over. And his points prop, we talk about the 31 is the number that he falls on the points prop. If it's 31.5, he's probably going to follow at 31. Bet him for exactly 31. I mean, he's going to average 30. He's quite literally going to average 30. He's very active with his hands on the defensive side of the ball, and he always finds himself near the top of the league in steals as well. Like, I just, and it's the fact of, yeah, I think there's some people that say Luka got robbed, but they're definitely talking about how Shea got robbed last year. I mean,
I just saw the media talking a lot about Luka because his numbers were crazy in the back.
Well, the media is going to do that for sure.
That's my point. And Luka didn't even finish ahead of Shea.
Shea is the one that got robbed. Shea is the one that will be considered when we're thinking about bounce back awards. And it's, hey, we're going to give it to this guy because he had an amazing season last year and he doubled down on it this year. So that's clear cut. I mean, he runs away with it for me as my favorite for MVP is Shea at plus 380. I do like a sprinkle on Ant because I think that if Ant just hits another mode and averages 30, Ant's going to be in the same, like easily the same conversation as Shea. I think those two players are very, very similar. And it's just the fact that Shea has had less talent and averaged more. But I'm very curious to see how Ant does this year. And if he finds himself averaging close, if not over 30 points per game as well. So I do like a flyer on Ant. And then I have Ja and Steph too. I really like the Steph case that you put out as well. So those are the four. That's how I'm chopping up my unit size, 4 units each ways, and I'm putting it on Steph, Ja. Ja's kind of a homer pick, low-key. Anthony Edwards and Shea. What do you like?
I mean, this award is pretty chalky, if we're being honest. But if I'm going with who I think is going to be in the serious running, I'll go with Luka and Shea. I think one of them probably win the award, so I'll go with those two. Giannis at 850 I thought about, but I don't think Milwaukee's going to be that good. So I think Giannis will be a victim to that. So I'm not going to go with Giannis. I'm kind of going to jump again. I think Luka and Shea I have to consider. And then after that, I'll go at Steph at 60-1 because I do think that you're looking at, once again, Golden State being a potential dark horse candidate to get a top 2 seed in the West. I think that's definitely a possibility. So, yeah, I'm kind of going to divide my units in classic MVP fashion. Give me chalk and then one long shot. And I know that you mentioned Ant. I think Ant could be in the running. I just don't think Minnesota is going to finish top 2 in the West. So I think that's going to be held against them in a way. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Give me Steph as my long shot. Give me Luka and give me Shea, and that's kind of it. That's really what I'm looking at. I know that Lewis is mentioning that I can go with Wemby at like 22-1, 17-1. I just think to give him defensive player and get out of the way. I don't think San Antonio's going to be good enough, so I'm not going to take him to win MVP. He'll win some in the future. Don't get me wrong, but San Antonio might not win 40 games, so I'm not going to give him out to win MVP. That's basically it. I'll go chalk and give me Steph as a long shot.
All right. Let's see here. Talk about Bet US. Bet the best of the business with Bet US. They make it super easy to deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Plus, sign up and deposit $100, and you have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. And you can use our sign up link and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, AI powered sports betting platform #1. You can build your own model or use their models. NBA models are live, so make sure you go check those out. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Let's see. A couple of questions in the chat. Is Brandon Ingram healthy? Who knows? Any lanes on the NBA Cup? I said it. You bet the Lakers to win the NBA Cup, and you just wait to see if they do something hilarious and actually win back-to-back NBA Cups. Like, that would just be funny.
That
I have no
second
other
banner
play.
would go crazy.
It would be hilarious if they put up a second banner. So I have no other play on the NBA Cup other than begging the Lakers to actually win it so we can get some pretty funny content for the next few months. Also asking about Donovan Mitchell, 101. I just don't think the Cavs are going to be good enough.
I don't think Mitchell's got a shot anyway. I think he's going to fall into the same issue that I mentioned Ant having. Like, you're going to compare his stats to other guys across the league and go, well, Luka averaged 39 and 9. I think Mitchell's in the same boat as Ant is. I think Ant is going to have better numbers than Mitchell, but it's kind of the same argument. It's just looking at a guy who I think is a score-first player, and you have guys around the league who are putting up the points and the other stats involved. And I think Mitchell's resume is not going to look great compared to the other MVP finalists. So I'm out on Mitchell at 100-1. He's a very solid player. Of course he is. But I think that when you compare his overall stats to other guys in the league, it's not really going to hold the candle unless he averages 30-plus points per game. But I just want to quickly see what Mitchell's numbers were last year, just so I can compare them. I mean, Mitchell averaged 29.6, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.7 assists. He almost averaged 30, but those rebounds and assists are not going to look great by comparison. It is what it is.
All right. Scott, anything else for the people before we get up out of here?
Yeah, do you want to do a best bet for both?
I mean, there's no point in doing a best bet for defensive player of the year, Wemby. But
we think Wemby's going to win at 155. My favorite long shot for the award. Do I really think Isaac has a shot as a bench player? He's so damn good defensively. You know what? No, I'll go with Jaden. Give me Jaden McDaniels at 100-1 as my long shot. I love Isaac. I'll still bet it based on how great he is defensively, but as a bench player, he's not going to win. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I'll let you have that long shot. Give me Bam, 11-1. I think that is pretty chalk here. You either give it to Wemby or you give it to Bam, and you right the ship one way or another.
Do you want to hear
MVP?
Do you want to hear my fun MVP hedge, by the way?
What?
So if you like Luka or Shea to win MVP, you can bet the other one to win Clutch Player of the Year. So that way they leave with something. Any thoughts on that?
What are the odds on? Well, because
Luka and Shea are both 11-1 to win Clutch Player of the Year. My concern about Shea is focus. He's up by so many points. He's going to be sitting the fourth quarter of a lot of these games, which might be a problem. But
Luka winning Clutch Player of the Year is
that's so fitting if he doesn't win MVP.
That is
we'll give him something.
Great handicap. That is wow, Scott. You have
11-1 is such a good price.
I am betting Luka. He's 100% winning Clutch Player of the Year.
I think it's a great price.
MVP. He's 100% winning Clutch Player of the Year. Yes, absolutely. All right. With that being said, of course, plus 380 on SGA for me. Like that's gonna happen 100%. But I am I'm not gonna lie, man. When Taylor Jenkins, when he has the full cast, he just has that Grizzlies team playing really well. And I think Ja can average 30. Like I really only bet at this point, if I think you can average 30, you're worth the bet for me. And
Okay.
it's not a lot of people I think can average 30. Ja can 100% average 30 over a season. And so I'll put a little flyer on Ja, but it's definitely SGA all the way.
I mean, if I was going for one of the favorites out of that group, I'm probably gonna end up going with Luka and Shea, and I think one of them's gonna win. My favorite bet, though, is honestly Steph at 60-1. I think 60 is just off to me. I'm not saying he's gonna win, but there are a lot of narrative pieces that kind of fall into place for Steph for the upcoming season. I think 60-1 is a good deal.
All right. Hey, make sure you give him a follow at Reichel Radio. Give me a follow at ___, and give us a follow at SGPN NBA on X, youtube.com/NBA Gambling Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. You should already be doing that. With that, we will be back. NBA starts tomorrow. First games, first season breakdown starts tomorrow with who's on? Is that me? Is it me on tap tomorrow?
I believe it's you
Yeah,
and Lonte.
me and Lonte. So me and Lonte breaking down the first two games tomorrow. Get to talk about my New York Knicks. And hey, maybe I don't fade the Celtics this year. We'll see. All right. With that, I have nothing else to say, nothing else to do. No other way of ending the podcast. We're just going to end it like this. We are out of here.